Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Today's story follows a billionaire single dad who saves two abandoned twin girls, unaware they'll become the miracle that changes his life forever. Adrian Cole had everything most people dreamed of: a skyline penthouse overlooking the city, a private driver waiting at all hours, a billion-dollar empire built from sharp decisions and sleepless nights. Yet every evening, his mansion echoed with the same unbearable sound. Silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the hollow kind. The kind that crept into the corners of his chest and reminded him of everything he had lost. His wife had died 4 years earlier. Cancer. Fast. Unforgiving. Cruel. She had once filled the house with warmth, laughter, music, careless joy. But after her death, Adrian shut down emotionally. He buried himself in business, refusing to feel anything that might reopen the wound. He became a man of routines. Wake up early. Review financial reports. Attend board meetings. Avoid memories. Avoid attachments. Avoid love. To the world, he was powerful. To himself, he was empty. At night, he sometimes paused outside the unused children's room in his home, a room he and his wife had prepared years ago, before life took a different path. He never opened the door. Some losses felt too heavy to revisit. Across the city, in a small, neglected apartment on the outskirts of town, two 6-year-old girls sat huddled on a cold floor. Maya and Mira. Identical twins. Small. Fragile. Too young to understand why the world had suddenly turned against them. Their stepmother had promised she'd return. Stay here. I'll be back soon. She never came back. The fridge was empty. The lights flickered. The clock on the wall ticked too loudly. Maya clutched her sister's hand. Do you think Daddy knows where we are? She whispered. Mira shook her head slowly. He's never home, she said. He works all the time. Their biological father had died years earlier. Their stepmother had taken custody and then vanished, leaving them behind like forgotten luggage. The twins tried to be brave. They rationed the last crackers. They shared a thin blanket. They listened for footsteps that never came. Fear lived in their small chests. But they didn't cry loudly. Because somewhere deep inside, they feared that if they made too much noise, they'd be punished for existing. Two worlds. One overflowing with wealth, but starving for love. The other filled with innocence, but starved for safety. And fate was already preparing to bring them together. That morning, Adrian left his penthouse as usual. His driver opened the door. Board meeting at 10, sir. Cancel it, Adrian replied calmly. Reschedule. He rarely canceled meetings. But today, something about the morning felt heavier than usual. As the car rolled through quieter streets, his eyes drifted to the outside world: children walking to school, parents holding small hands, families moving in clusters. He looked away. Too painful. Too personal. Meanwhile, the twins' situation worsened. Maya's stomach growled. Mira tried to smile anyway. Maybe today will be better, she said softly. A loud knock suddenly struck the apartment door. Both girls froze. Another knock. Louder. Hello, a woman's voice called. Anyone inside? The twins looked at each other in terror. Maya whispered, what if it's someone angry? Mira swallowed. Or someone who wants to take us away? The door rattled again. Concerned voices. A neighbor. Then building security. When the door finally opened, sunlight poured into the dim apartment, exposing the cold floor, the empty fridge, the two trembling little girls clutching each other like lifelines. The adults gasped. Oh my God! They've been here alone? Call social services. Maya's voice shook. Please, don't send us somewhere scary. Mira clung to her tighter. We can be good, she whispered. We promise. Later that day, Adrian sat in his office, staring at a document he hadn't read. A social worker stood across from him. Mr. Cole, she said carefully, we traced the guardianship records. You're listed as their legal sponsor, through a charity trust you funded years ago. He frowned slightly. I sponsor dozens of children. These ones are different, she replied. They've been abandoned. They need immediate placement. Temporary care. Stability. Adrian exhaled slowly. He had no intention of raising children. He had built his life around emotional distance. I'm not equipped for that, he said flatly. They don't have anyone else, the woman replied gently. And they specifically asked if they could meet you. He hesitated. Why would they ask that? They saw your name. They said it sounded safe. The word struck him unexpectedly. Safe. A word he hadn't associated with himself in years. After a long pause, he stood. Fine, he said quietly. I'll meet them. Once. At the Child Services Center, Maya and Mira sat side by side, feet dangling above the floor. A tall man in a tailored suit walked in. Calm. Reserved. Controlled. Adrian stopped when he saw them. Two identical little faces. Wide eyes. Hope mixed with fear. Maya whispered, "Is he the one?" Mira squeezed her hand. The social worker smiled gently. "Girls, this is Mr. Adrian Cole." Adrian cleared his throat. "Hello." The twins stood instinctively. Mira spoke first. Are you the person who helped us?" He nodded slightly. "Yes." Maya stepped forward, voice trembling. "Does that mean we're not alone anymore?" For a moment, the billionaire who could negotiate billion-dollar deals without blinking felt something crack in his chest. He didn't know how to answer. He had no idea that this single moment would change his life forever. If you were in Adrian's place, would you walk away or step into responsibility? Tell me in the comments. Your answer might surprise you. Adrian Cole didn't believe in fate. He believed in logic, planning, control. Yet as he stood in front of the twin girls, something about their presence disrupted the emotional walls he had spent years building. They were too small for the weight they carried. Too quiet for children their age. Too careful, like they'd learned early that the world could be cruel. Maya studied him like he might disappear at any moment. Mira kept half a step behind her sister, gripping her sleeve like a shield. The social worker gestured gently. "They've been through a lot," she said softly. "They're scared, but hopeful." Hope. Another word Adrian hadn't allowed into his life for a long time. He lowered himself to their eye level, unsure why he felt compelled to do so. "You don't need to be afraid," he said quietly. "You're safe here." Maya tilted her head. "People always say that," she murmured. "But then they leave." The honesty in her voice hit harder than accusation. Mira whispered, "Our stepmom said she'd come back." Her lip trembled. She didn't. Silence settled between them. Adrian felt something stir, a quiet, unfamiliar pressure in his chest. Not pity. Something heavier. Something closer to responsibility. Later, Adrian sat alone in his car. His driver asked, "Home, sir?" Adrian stared at his hands. For years, his life had been designed to avoid emotional attachment. But those small voices echoed in his mind. "Does that mean we're not alone anymore?" He exhaled. "Drive back to the center." The driver blinked, surprised, but nodded. Inside, the twins sat coloring on a small table. Maya looked up first. Her eyes widened. "You came back." Mira whispered, "You didn't disappear." Adrian walked closer. "I've been thinking," he said carefully. "You need somewhere stable to stay for now." "For now," Maya repeated. "Yes," he replied gently. "Temporary. Until long-term arrangements are made." Mira hesitated. "Does temporary mean we'll have to leave again?" The question cracked something in him. He chose honesty over distance. "I don't know yet," he admitted. "But I won't abandon you." The word abandon seemed to resonate in the room. Maya stepped forward. "Will we have our own beds?" He nodded. "Food every day?" Mira asked. "Yes." "Will someone tuck us in at night?" Maya whispered. Adrian paused. "I can try." A fragile smile flickered across their faces. That evening, the twins sat in the back seat of Adrian's car. They pressed their noses lightly to the window, amazed by streetlights, tall buildings, passing buses. Mira whispered, "Everything looks like a movie." Maya smiled softly. Adrian watched them through the mirror. They weren't loud. They weren't demanding. They were simply grateful. And that frightened him more than any business risk ever had. Because gratitude meant attachment. And attachment meant the possibility of pain. The mansion doors opened. The twins froze. Their world had always been small, dim, cramped. Now they stood in marble-floored halls, warm lighting, high ceilings, staircases that felt like something from a fairy tale. Maya whispered, "Do people like us belong here?" Adrian answered without thinking. "For now, yes." A housekeeper approached gently. "Sir, children?" "They're staying," Adrian said calmly. The woman smiled warmly at the girls. "You're safe here," she said kindly. The twins exchanged stunned looks. A guest room had been prepared. 2 small beds, soft blankets, stuffed animals placed carefully on pillows. Mira touched the bed cautiously. "It's soft," Maya whispered. "What if this is a dream?" Adrian stood in the doorway, feeling strangely out of place in his own home. Maya turned toward him. Mr. Adrian? Yes. Thank you for not leaving us. Mira added softly. You saved us. The word save struck deeper than he expected. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man standing at the edge of a life he never planned. Later that night, Adrian passed their room. He heard whispers. Do you think he'll change his mind? Maya asked. Mira replied quietly. I hope not, he feels different. Adrian stopped walking. He rested a hand lightly against the wall. For the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar blooming inside him. Not grief, not regret, purpose. He returned to his room, but didn't sleep. Instead, he stared at an old framed photo of his late wife. I didn't plan this, he whispered. But maybe it wasn't meant to be planned. Adrian Cole told himself this was temporary. A responsibility, a favor, a short-term solution, not a family. That word still felt dangerous. So the next morning, he returned to what he did best, control. He left early for work, avoided breakfast, avoided conversation, avoided letting the girls see too much of him. Because if he stayed too close, he might care. And caring had already cost him once. Maya and Mira woke up quietly in their new room. Sunlight spilled through large curtains. The beds were warm. The air smelled clean. Maya whispered, Do we need permission to walk around? Mira nodded nervously. Let's not touch anything expensive. They dressed carefully, trying not to make noise. At breakfast, they sat side by side at the long dining table. A housekeeper set plates before them. Pancakes, fruit, milk. Maya stared. Is this all for us? The housekeeper smiled gently. You can eat as much as you like. Mira whispered. No one ever said that before. They ate slowly not because they weren't hungry, but because they feared it might disappear. When Adrian finally entered the room, the girls straightened immediately. Good morning, Maya said softly. Morning, Mira echoed. Adrian nodded politely. Did you sleep well? Yes, sir, Mira replied quickly. The word sir bothered him, but he didn't correct it. He kept his tone neutral. You'll be enrolled in school soon, he said calmly. And a counselor may speak to you. Maya hesitated. Does that mean we're staying? He paused. For now, he repeated. The words sounded colder than he intended. Mira lowered her gaze. For now, she whispered to herself. Later that day, the twins explored the garden. Flowers, birds, a small fountain. Maya smiled faintly. It feels like we're visiting someone else's dream. Mira looked worried. Dreams end. Maya nodded slowly. Then maybe we shouldn't get too attached. They made a silent agreement. To behave. To be grateful. To never ask for too much. Because asking for too much had always ended in being left behind. At the office, Adrian tried to focus on numbers. But his mind drifted. To Maya's careful smile. To Myra's soft voice. To the way they tried to take up as little space as possible. His assistant noticed. Sir, you've been staring at that page for 10 minutes. Adrian exhaled sharply. I'm fine. But he wasn't. He was afraid. Afraid of bonding. Afraid of losing again. Afraid of opening a part of his heart he'd sealed shut after his wife's death. That evening, Adrian returned home to find the twins in the living room. Mira held a small book. Maya traced letters with her finger. Maya looked up. Mr. Adrian, could you read to us? The request was simple, but it felt like stepping onto fragile emotional ground. I'm not very good at that, he replied. Mira smiled gently. That's okay. We just like hearing someone's voice. Silence stretched. Then Adrian sat. He opened the book. His voice sounded stiff at first and used to softness. But the twins leaned closer. Listening. Trusting. Relaxing. Halfway through, Maya rested her head lightly against a cushion. Mira whispered, You sound safe. The word hit harder than expected. After finishing, Adrian stood quickly. That's enough for tonight. Maya nodded. Thank you. Mira smiled. Good night. As he walked away, he felt it. The slow collapse of the emotional walls he'd built. He wanted to pull back, but something inside him was beginning to lean forward. Later that night, the twins whispered in bed. Do you think he'll keep us? Maya asked. Mira hugged her pillow. I don't know, but I hope we're not too much. Maya swallowed. Let's try to be perfect. Adrian Cole had planned to keep his distance. But life had other ideas. A sudden storm rolled over the city one afternoon, heavy rain. Thunder cracking like broken glass in the sky. Roads flooded. Schools closed early. Meetings were canceled. And for the first time since the twins arrived, Adrian had nowhere to escape. He stayed home. Maya and Mira watched the rain from the tall living room windows. Mira whispered, "It sounds like the sky is crying." Maya nodded. "Maybe it misses someone." Adrian overheard the comment and felt an unexpected ache. He cleared his throat. "You don't have to stay in your room today," he said. "You can use the rest of the house." The twins looked surprised. "Really?" Maya asked. "Yes," he replied. Their smiles were small, but genuine. They played a board game at the dining table. At first, Adrian only observed, but Mira tilted her head. "Will you play with us?" He hesitated. "All right." He didn't remember the last time he'd played anything. They laughed when he misunderstood the rules. They teased him gently when he lost. Maya giggled. "You're not very competitive for a billionaire." He almost smiled. Almost. Later, the power flickered then went out. The mansion dimmed into quiet darkness. Mira stiffened. "I don't like the dark," she whispered. Maya grabbed her hand. Adrian immediately stood. "Stay here," he said calmly. He returned with flashlights and candles. As thunder roared outside, the twins instinctively moved closer to him. Maya whispered, "Can we sit near you?" He nodded. They sat on the floor together, candles glowing, rain pounding, shadows dancing on the walls. Mira leaned closer. "Will you tell us a story?" Adrian paused. He didn't have fairy tales, but he had memories. "When I was young," he began slowly, "I used to be afraid of storms too." The twins looked at him in surprise. "You were scared?" Maya asked. "Yes," he admitted quietly. Mira smiled softly. "That makes you feel more like us." The sentence warmed him more than he expected. A loud crack of thunder echoed. Mira flinched sharply. Maya whispered. She used to yell when it stormed. Adrian turned to them. "Who?" "Our stepmom," Maya replied quietly. "She said we were too loud, too annoying." Myra's eyes filled with tears. "She said nobody would want us." Silence fell heavy. Adrian felt something sharp twist in his chest. "That isn't true," he said firmly. They looked at him, searching his face. "You're not annoying," he continued. "And you are wanted. Here." Maya's voice trembled. "You promise?" He hesitated, then chose honesty over fear. "Yes," he said softly. "I promise I won't let you be abandoned again." Tears slid down Myra's cheek. She leaned forward, impulsively hugging him. Adrian froze for a heartbeat. Then, slowly, he wrapped an arm around her. Maya joined them. For the first time in years, he held children in his arms. And it didn't feel like pain. It felt like healing. Later that night, power restored, rain softened, and the storm faded. As Adrian tucked them into bed, Maya whispered, "Today felt like a real family day." Mira added softly, "I felt safe all day." The word family lingered in his chest. When he left their room, he realized something terrifying. He didn't want to lose them. Adrian Cole had mastered the art of avoiding the past. He buried memories under business reports. He silenced grief with long work hours. He treated emotional pain like a weakness he could outgrow. But Maya and Mira had a way of pulling buried things to the surface without even trying. One quiet afternoon, Adrian found Maya sitting on the floor outside his study. She held a small cardboard box. "Mr. Adrian?" she asked gently. "Is this yours?" Inside were old photographs. Him younger, smiling, laughing, standing beside his late wife. Mira peeked over her sister's shoulder. "Who is the lady?" she whispered. Adrian's chest tightened. "My wife," he said quietly. "She passed away." Maya tilted her head. "You loved her a lot?" He swallowed. "Yes," he replied. "More than I ever thought possible." Myra's voice softened. "Is that why you look sad sometimes?" The honesty caught him off guard. "Yes," he admitted. They sat together on the floor. Adrian spoke slowly, not like a billionaire addressing a boardroom, but like a man exposing fragile truth. "I wanted children," he said quietly. "We planned for them, prepared a room, dreamed about the life we'd build." His voice wavered. "But life didn't go the way we planned." Maya whispered, "So you lost your family too?" The word lost echoed painfully. "Yes," he said. Mira hesitated, then said softly, "We know how that feels." Maya hugged her knees. "Our stepmom didn't like us," she murmured. "She said twins were too much work." Mira added quietly, "She locked us in our room sometimes when she got mad." Maya continued, "She'd say, 'If I leave, no one will come for you.'" Myra's eyes filled with tears. "We try to be perfect," she whispered. "But she still left." Silence fell heavy. Adrian felt anger burn beneath his calm surface, not the cold anger of business, but the protective fury of a father. "That was not your fault," he said firmly. "You deserve care, love, safety." Maya's voice trembled. "Do we deserve it now?" Adrian didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said. "You deserve it always." That evening, Adrian unlocked a door he hadn't opened in years. The unused children's room. Dust floated in the air. A crib still stood in the corner. Shelves held unopened toys. Maya whispered, "This room feels lonely." Adrian nodded. "It's been waiting a long time." Mira smiled gently. "Maybe it doesn't have to wait anymore." The sentence hit him like fate. He looked at the twins, not as temporary guests, but as children who might finally bring life to a room built for love. Later, as Adrian tucked them into bed, Maya reached for his hand. "Mr. Adrian?" "Yes. If we stay, can we call you something else someday?" His heart stuttered. "Something else," he repeated. Mira whispered shyly. "Like, Dad." The word hung in the air, fragile, hopeful, terrifying. Adrian's throat tightened. "We don't want to replace anyone," Maya added quickly. "We just don't want to feel alone anymore." For a long moment, he couldn't speak. Finally, softly, "We'll see." But inside, something shifted. Something changed after that day. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, in the smallest, most meaningful ways. Adrian Cole began coming home earlier. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. And Maya and Mira noticed. The mansion no longer felt like a silent museum of grief. There were crayons on the table, shoes left slightly out of place, soft giggles echoing down the halls. Maya started drawing pictures and taping them to the refrigerator. "Look," she said proudly one afternoon. "It's our family." The drawing showed 3 stick figures holding hands. Mira pointed. "That one is you." Adrian studied it. "I look tall," he murmured. They laughed. A real laugh escaped him, too surprising even himself. One morning, he attempted to make breakfast. The pancakes burned. The eggs stuck to the pan. Mira wrinkled her nose. "That I mean, Mr. Adrian, you might need help." Maya grinned. "We can teach you." They cooked together, flour on the counter, batter on their fingers, laughter replacing awkward silence. Adrian shook his head slightly. "I'm better at running companies than kitchens." Mira smiled. "But you're getting better at us." The sentence warmed him more than any professional compliment ever had. They went to the park. Maya rode a swing for the first time. Mira fed ducks by the pond. Adrian sat on a bench, watching them. For the first time in years, he felt peace without guilt. Later, Maya asked quietly, "Do you think your wife would have liked us?" The question caught him off guard. He answered honestly, "She would have loved you." Mira smiled softly. "Then maybe we're meant to be here." One night, Mira crept into his study holding a pillow. "Can we stay near you tonight?" she whispered. "Just until we fall asleep." Maya nodded. "We feel safer when you're close." Adrian paused, then nodded. "All right." They curled up on the couch beside him. Maya whispered, "You don't feel lonely anymore, do you?" He thought about it. "Not when you're here." The twins exchanged happy glances. Later, as he tucked them into bed, Maya said softly, "Thank you for keeping your promise." "What promise?" he asked. "You said you wouldn't abandon us." Mira added gently, "You didn't." Adrian felt a tightness in his chest, emotional, warm, and terrifying. Because he cared now, deeply, and caring meant risking pain, but it also meant feeling alive again. That night, Adrian stood outside their door, listening to their soft breathing. He whispered to himself, "I won't fail you." He didn't realize how much that promise would soon be tested. Happiness never announces when it's about to be tested. It just trembles, then cracks. Adrian Cole thought he was finally learning how to keep a family together, but the past had unfinished business. One afternoon, a legal notice arrived at his office. A name leapt off the page. The twin stepmother. She had resurfaced, claiming she wanted custody back, claiming she had made a mistake, claiming she was now ready to be responsible. Adrian felt his stomach tighten. He knew the truth. This wasn't love. This was greed, reputation, or guilt trying to rewrite history. But the law didn't care about his emotions. It cared about paperwork. That evening, the twins overheard hushed voices. Lawyers. Phone calls. Tense silence. Maya tugged Myra's sleeve. "They're talking about us." Later, Maya confronted Adrian quietly. "Are we going away?" The question hurt more than any courtroom threat. He knelt in front of them. "No," he said firmly. "I won't let anyone take you." But Myra's hands trembled. "People always say that," she whispered. And then they changed their minds. The twins grew quieter. Maya stopped drawing family pictures. Mira slept with the light on again. One night, Adrian found them packing their small bags. "What are you doing?" he asked softly. Maya's voice cracked. "We don't want to make this harder for you," Mira whispered. "If we leave before they take us, it might hurt less." The words shattered him. "I don't want you to leave," he said urgently. "You belong here." Maya cried. Everyone leaves. A few days later, tension exploded. Maya spilled juice on an important document. Adrian reacted sharply, louder than he intended. "Be careful." Maya froze. Her face fell. Mira whispered, "He's tired of us." Maya's voice shook. "You're going to send us away, aren't you?" Adrian tried to explain. "That's not what I meant." But the fear had already taken hold. Maya shouted through tears. "You were just pretending to love us." Silence crashed into the room. The sentence felt like glass through his chest. The twins ran to their room, crying. That night, Adrian sat alone in the dark. He stared at the family drawing on the refrigerator. 3 stick figures holding hands. His voice broke. "I'm going to lose them, just like I lost her." He questioned everything. Was he capable of being a father? Was he fooling himself? Was love just another promise he couldn't keep? For the first time since his wife died, he cried. Not quiet tears, broken ones. Behind their bedroom door, Maya whispered, "We shouldn't have trusted him." Mira sobbed. "I thought we finally had a home." They held each other like they once had in the cold apartment. Terrified, small, expecting abandonment again. Both sides believed they were about to lose each other. Both felt unworthy. Both felt afraid. Both felt shattered. And for a moment, it felt like love had failed. Adrian Cole barely slept that night. The argument replayed in his mind like a wound that refused to close. "You were just pretending to love us." The words hurt because they weren't true, but they revealed his greatest fear. That he might fail them. That he might lose them. That loving them meant opening himself to pain again. Yet this time, he didn't want to run. As dawn softened the sky, Adrian stood outside the twins' door. He listened. No laughter. No whispers. Only silence. The same silence that once haunted his mansion before they arrived. And he realized something with terrifying clarity. Losing them would hurt more than risking his heart. Later that morning, Adrian sat across from his legal team. "We can fight this," the lawyers said. "But it will require emotional testimony. Your commitment. Your willingness to be their permanent guardian." Permanent. The word once terrified him. Now it felt like a promise he wanted to keep. "Do whatever it takes," Adrian said firmly. "They are my family." That evening, he knocked softly on their bedroom door. "May I come in?" Silence. Then Myra's small voice. "Okay." The twins sat on the bed guarded, uncertain, expecting disappointment. Adrian sat across from them, his voice softer than ever. "I need to apologize." Maya looked away. "I raised my voice. I scared you." "That was wrong." Mira whispered. "Are we still leaving?" His chest tightened. "No," he said gently. "I'm fighting for you. Not because I have to, but because I want to." Maya blinked. "You want us?" "Yes," he said, emotion breaking through. "You're not a burden. You're not temporary. You're not charity." He swallowed. "You're my daughters, if you'll let me be your father." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "You're not pretending?" "No," he whispered. "I was afraid. But I choose you." Mira rushed forward, first hugging him tightly. Maya followed, crying into his shoulder. "We choose you too," she whispered. Adrian held them close, no hesitation, no restraint, no fear of attachment. For the first time, he fully embraced fatherhood. Weeks later, the courtroom was silent as the judge read the ruling. Permanent custody. The stepmother's claim was denied. Adrian looked down at the twins, holding both their hands. Mira squeezed tighter. "Does this mean we're home forever?" He smiled fully, warmly, honestly. "Yes," he said. "Forever." Time changed the house in ways Adrian Cole never expected. Where there had once been silence, there was now laughter. Where grief had once lived, there was warmth. Where loneliness had once ruled, there was family. And Adrian no longer feared the word. Family. Maya and Mira settled fully into their new life. They went to school, made friends, argued over toys, ran through the halls like they owned the place. Because now, they did. One afternoon, Adrian watched them work on homework at the dining table. Maya frowned. Math is rude. Mira nodded seriously. It's personally attacking me. Adrian laughed openly, freely. I'll help, he said. But I'm not promising miracles. Maya grinned. You already are one. Later that evening, they curled up on the couch. Mira rested her head on his shoulder. Do you ever regret choosing us? She asked quietly. Adrian didn't hesitate. Never. Maya looked thoughtful. You saved us. He shook his head gently. No, he said softly. You saved me. They looked confused. You brought life back into this house, he continued. You reminded me how to love again. Mira smiled. So we're your everyday miracle? He kissed the tops of their heads. Every single day. One weekend, Adrian took them to visit his late wife's resting place. He knelt beside them. She would have adored you, he said quietly. Maya placed a small drawing on the grave. It showed 3 stick figures holding hands. This is our family, she whispered. Adrian felt peace, not sorrow. For the first time, the past no longer felt like a wound. It felt like a foundation. Months later, Adrian officially adopted them. The adoption day ended with cake, balloons, and laughter. Mira hugged him tightly. Say it, she teased. He smiled. Say what? Out loud, Maya added. That we're your daughters. He looked at them, truly looked, and felt something full and unbreakable. You are my daughters, he said. And you always will be. They cheered. That night, as Adrian tucked them into bed, Maya whispered, Does this mean we're not alone anymore? He smiled, remembering the first day they met. No, he replied gently. It means you never will be again. Adrian stood in the doorway after turning off the light. Years ago, this house had been a monument to loss. Now, it was a monument to second chances, to unexpected love, to healing, to miracles disguised as responsibility. And he knew one truth with certainty. Saving them had been the greatest decision of his life. Do you believe love can come when we least expect it and change everything? If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you were Adrian, would you have made the same choice?